Good morning, everybody. It's a good day. We are bringing out all the energy, even in the chill weather. We are lit, hot, and ready to start our conversation. And please ask all the members of the media, arts, entertainment, and visual arts to unmute and to open up their videos and give a big wave. We're about a team of about 13 energetic human beings. Yeah, those are the humans. So before we begin, we would like to give honor where honor is due. We would never have been here if it wasn't for our visionary, and we would love to honor her presence. She's here with us. Her name is Afeft Angela Wangoi Murenga. She is the whole cake, icing, and a cherry on the top. She's the whole shebang. She wears very many hats. She's the CEO of Kingdom Business Solutions. She's an executive coach, certified executive coach. She's an author, and if I may say, best-selling, loading. She's a mom, she's a daughter, she's a sister, she's a provocative thinker, she's so many things. Friend, she's like, it's the whole cake, the icing, and the cherry on the top. There's nothing less. So thank you so much, Afetanji, for your leadership, for your vision. That's why we are here. And we'd love to acknowledge your presence. And right now, I would love to invite all of us to a conversation. A few days ago, I sat down with some very amazing human beings. I call them movers and shakers in the industry of media, arts, entertainment, comms, and visual arts. And I wanted to pick their brain. I wanted to get them to draw from their experiences on the role of content in shaping society, because we know that content has become a very frequent word in our mouths, in our minds, in boardrooms. And so we just wanted to delve into that and see how that goes. So without any further ado, I'd love to invite you to listen into this conversation. Feel free to keep posting your questions in the comment section. Trust me, there are some well-able people ready to take that information. Thank you so much and feel welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure to have each and every one of you join us this morning for our Ekklesia Media Arts and Entertainment webinar. Welcome. So our vision statement is to be the catalytic voice of creatives, driving conversations in the media, arts and entertainment industry that shape culture and transform mindsets. And our team is a huge team of about 13 people, and we are comprised of an amazing mix of remarkable people in the performing arts. We have people in the music and in entertainment spaces. We have people in the film and television production. They're the gurus in these spaces behind the local and internationally recognized TV series, the films, and we also have people in the ad industry, people who are in the radio industry, people who are experts in podcasts and audio in general. We have visual artists with Pan-African and global reach. We have communication experts, and we also have graphic designers in our mix. The members of this team comprise of Joy Njoki-Gadhogo, Aisha Wanjiko, Kate Njao, Patricia Waweru, Nina Bola, Mutindi Musimba, Emmanuel Amimo, Ishmael Azeli, Eric Mwangi, Althea Wamiro, Winnie Azeli, Shitakwa Musoga, and finally myself, Sabina Mwashegwa. Coming right up, we have an exhilarating discussion on the theme of the role of content in shaping society under the sectors called Conversation Starting Movement. We hope that by the end of this webinar, you'll be able to have a clearer understanding of how content is shaping your worldview, whether consciously or subconsciously. Welcome. Welcome to our panel discussion. With me, I have some very provocative thinkers who I would love to delve in this subject, the role of content in shaping society. We have heard about the industry of communications, of media, of arts, entertainment, and visual arts. And with me here are people who are very involved in such
matters. And I would first love to introduce, from my far left is Miss Nina Bola. She's a very provocative thinker. She loves to challenge status quo. She's into making change in the industry of film and in the industry of modeling. She runs an agency that is very big about fighting for the rights, equal rights of models. Then after her, we have one of the gentlemen on the panel. His name is Mr. Eric Mwangi. He is a husband, a father. He has been very active in the advertising industry, very gifted in the visual arts. You can see some of his work displayed behind us. It's very meaningful. Like, if you want, you please follow his handles and you'd get to know some of these paintings because they have such depth in them. Next to him, we have Mrs. Mutindi Musimba. She's a mom, she is a daughter, she is a sister, and she loves life. She's a provocative thinker. She's done a lot in the media industry, and we would love to get your interesting views. We have also, joining us remotely is Mr. Ishmael Azeli. He's in the film industry, and we have also Aisha, Miss Aisha, and we have Joy Njoki also joining us remotely. Now, I would love to dig into this topic, but I would first love to help people understand. Content is any information and experience that's directed towards an end user or audience. And I love what Eric usually defines, that every one of us is a content creator. Like, if you post anything on Twitter, you're creating content. If you post something on your Facebook, you're creating content. It's not just about the big things that we see on TV or on the screens that are content creators, but each of us is a content creator. Then we have media as any communication tool that's used to deliver information. It could be through the news, music, movies, any way we use to deliver to communicate information is a channel of the media. So my first question will go to Eric. The visual arts is somehow very misunderstood because people don't directly look at it as content that's being put out there. People don't look at it and go like, I wonder what this guy is trying to tell us with a painting. I'd just love you to explain to us, how do you feel like as a visual artist you put out content?
You're right, yes. In the visual arts industry, it is not considered as what we'd call conventional content creation.
Yes.
Because many people have defined content as music, books, the written word, and they hardly consider a painting, like you've rightly said, as content. But what most people don't know is that a lot of the artwork that you see is actually contains a message or a meaning that was incorporated by the artist. And whether you see it obviously or not, if you delve into that piece of art, then you'll probably find that there's a message attached to it. And as an artist myself, I always encourage everyone to find out what does the painting that I have mean. Don't just engage with it because it looks pretty, but there's always a hidden meaning. And that is what we call the content. So it's not just what you see, but what is also communicated by the artist. Yes.
That's very interesting. Most of the time we define effective communication as the intended meaning and perceived meaning being the same, both for the sender and for the receiver. But sometimes we find that something that we're putting out there could mean something totally different. And each of us has experienced a time when something that we put out ended up meaning something so different to the audience. And of course, sometimes it lands us into trouble. That's why we have ethics. And I know that, Nina, you're very big about ethics. You're very big about things being done particular. You're very big about people being treated right in the industry. So this question goes out to you. I know that effective communication is something that we handle in boardrooms. We do not necessarily communicate it to the audience that this is what this ad is about to go and do. So what has been your experience so far in the industry, where you sit in the boardroom, you come up with the concepts, and you make something, and by the time it's getting to the end user, they have no clue that Coca-Cola wanted us to sell 800 bottles a day. They just think, oh wow, this is such a good drink. What's your experience so far in that?
I think it's just at the basis of setting the agenda, basically. The client has a product, maybe it's a new product, maybe it's actually an existing product that is not doing so well in the market and in the audience. So you'd find that at the beginning of the brief, they have objectives that they will address around that product, in a sense that if it's increasing sales, if it's increasing awareness for the product, if it's also could be disruptive, in a sense that where they would like to disrupt the market and for people to have a sort of an interest into this product or this communication or service. And when all that is actually established, now you'll find that the key players will come together and have a brainstorm on how do we actually meet our goal for this communication that we plan to put out there. So you'd find that we'll look at even the market. Who are we actually communicating to? What do they like, or how do they listen, or how do we make them actually pay attention to what we are trying to communicate? So when that is looked into, the communication is packaged in a way that what we are trying to achieve here is actually going to be met. So the key players will come together in a sort of a brainstorm or workshop session where they will establish, okay, this is our audience, what do they like, how do we communicate to them so that they meet the goals and the objectives that they have on how they would like this product to be introduced in the market and what communication should be put in place. So if, for instance, it's to increase the sales, I'll give you an example. I think recently or some years back, you noticed that the Crips, I think it was Crackles, that they started putting cartoons on the packaging. For me, I was like, when I got to the supermarket, if I have my child of that age and he's the audience that they're trying to reach out to, the Crips it's not anymore about the taste of the Crips. It's not anymore about what they're going to get at the end, which is actually that food that they're going to eat. But the kids have been disrupted because, yes, you'll have different other brands, but the child will go for a cartoon
that they love.
Design that they love. Maybe they love Ben 10, maybe they love, I don't know, Barbie. So you'll find that when you're going with your child to the supermarket, your child is influencing you to buy specifically that Crips. So for them, that's how they decided to communicate visually to their audience, which is the children. And even if, I didn't go with my child to the supermarket, but tomorrow when they'll be in school, they'll see their classmates with that same Crips, and then they'll come home and say, please, when you're buying Crips, don't buy me this other one, I want this one. So it's just tactics that are put in place in a way that the objectives of the client are met. Now, I would say if the Crips don't test well, it won't make any difference, because for the kids, it boils down to the design at this level. So you find that, yes, it has met the objective of the client. They're increasing sales. They have reached out to their audience. They have brought a certain communication that is disruptive. And it's not necessarily that the audience, which is the child at the end, has actually gotten quality of that product that they are consuming. So it's just changing your audience approach, even how. So in a situation like that, yes, there is an agenda setting, but is it actually for the benefit of the child, or just the targets that we have, which is the numbers, and being disruptive, and we are the one to trend at this point. So that's just about that. So one of the things why I'm interested in that aspect and in that matter is because sometimes it's not so harmful, but sometimes it's also harmful. So how do we actually come in and also influence that also the person at the end, which is the consumer, is actually benefiting from actually this communication that is out there, the content, or what they're digesting at the end of the day. Yes.
It's interesting that you bring that in, because we're actually talking about the role of content in shaping society.
Yeah.
And we all know that media is very big on setting the agenda, whether it's politics, whether it's social culture. Media is always trying to set an agenda. I know that in the past, we've seen things like advertisements that used to have a tagline like, baada ya kazi burudika ni wakati wa taska. And it set a culture that told people, after a good day of work, let's go and have a taska. And people have this language they've developed where they're like, one for the road. You know, it's become part of, I'm having one for the road, as if it's not just something that came out of nothing. It's an agenda that was set. There's Peppa Pig, and in every household, whether you like cartoons or not, your kids come back from school and they're like, I want the bag that has Peppa Pig. It's gone so much into our culture that kids are from, Kenya, and they have like an accent. You're like, where was this kid born again? Because they're saying, Mommy, because they watch it on Peppa Pig, and it gets so ingrained in them. Now, Mutindi, I know you've worked in a few media houses, and I know that you have been part of, people who discuss things like programming, and in rooms where decisions have been made to affect programming. We know that a while back when Citizen was starting Afro Cinema, to schedule it like at 10 in the morning, guys were like, these guys are crazy. But there was someone who sat down, studied the psychology, known who they're targeting, and known that these guys we can get them from 10 o'clock, and the employer is not there to say, don't watch the TV, to get the work done. So they were able to do it, and it became so popular that other stations actually started shadowing them, even if it's not with the same Afro Cinema, but they put, like telenovelas, things that would appeal to their target market. And in such spaces, they started advertising, like for Fair and Lovely, at 10 Bob, things that would appeal to such a target market. But to someone, they would probably not read so much into that. But I'm interested to pick your brain, because I know you've sat in rooms where such decisions were made. And just talk about media as agenda setting. It looks like such a far-fetched thing, but it's so tangible. Yeah.
Okay, so the thing about media, and when we're talking about media, we're talking about everything from TV, we're talking about radio, we're talking about the internet, social media, we're talking about YouTube, any platform that has content that we consume. There's a saying that nothing in this world is for free, and if you're not paying for it, you're the one being sold. Okay. And I remember first hearing that in college, and then I heard that a lot more when I was working. And it is actually true, because it is not a mistake that the programming you see on TV shows up at the time that it shows up. It's not a mistake that the adverts and the kinds of videos that pop up on your timeline show up when they show up. There's actually a lot of research that goes into not only ad placement, but even defining the kind of content that is being put out there. So I'll use your example of when Citizen started showing telenovelas in the middle of the day. Research had been carried out, and there was actually data showing that there's a certain demographic which is interested in this kind of content at this particular part of the day, and they actually have the time and the opportunity to engage in this content. So if we can get as many eyeballs onto our screens at this time, then we can sell this space at a premium for advertising, because we've got so many eyeballs. So what the advertiser is essentially buying is your eyes, your mind, your attention. Okay? So in that case, then the demographic, that is the target audience that is being targeted at in the middle of the day, mid-morning, with the telenovelas, they are actually, their eyes, their minds, and their emotions is what is being put on the table for sale. All right? So that is one level of agenda setting. Know your target audience, know where they are, and know how to capture their attention and their emotions, and then now offer that as a package. So the other side of agenda setting then becomes, what do you want to sell and why? And right now I'm thinking about, there was a time that we had this toothpaste adverts at about 9 p.m. And it was this guy with a big smile, and he'd have all these flirty lines. And yes, what they were selling was a toothpaste, right? That is what they're telling you, go buy a toothpaste. But when you watch that ad and you understand the script, if you guys are with me, you know what toothpaste that was, and you remember what the ads were about. But also there's a lifestyle that was also being perpetrated as, this is the way you want to live. This is the way a guy needs to walk to get the attention of the girls. You know, these are the lines that will get the attention of the girls. And this is how girls are supposed to behave when a guy talks to you like this. Remember, we are selling toothpaste. But all these are messaged into the script, into the timing, to the right people who at that time your attention is there. So subconsciously, you'll pick that information and create a norm out of it. That now is agenda setting. And a lot of it is subliminal. It's not direct what you're seeing, but you see it much later when you're out there and you're expecting, hey, but I'm smiling at this girl like this and I've used this toothpaste. Why isn't it happening? You see, you've already been conditioned to think that if I do this, then this is what I'll get.
Exactly.
So that is how a lot of the media operates, to really just set the agenda to get us to cultural norms that may not have been in the norm 5 years, 6 years ago. But the more we're exposed to those scripts, the more we're exposed to those situations, both online and on legacy media, then we start changing our ideas and our expectations of life based on what we're being exposed to in those spaces. Yeah.
I love that she's put that across, because we're in a space where there's now not, I believe my parents used to give us the stories where, you're so lucky. Us guys, news used to be once a day. I'm like, once a what? Once a day. And then we'll go and camp at Kina Who's and watch this program, because we didn't even have a TV. Right now, anyone with any gadget can access like crazy amounts of information. And this sometimes is very powerful, but sometimes can also work against us, especially people who are very deliberate about doing life, about raising children, about, shaping culture. And I know that, Eric, you're very big about shaping culture and fatherhood. And I've seen you challenge status quo in terms of the way you parent, the kind of content you allow in. And I'd love you to shed some more light on that, because it's very easy for a child with a gadget to stumble across the things that would just change the direction of their lives. Yeah, so I would love you to give us a take, especially knowing that you understand the background of advertising, you understand deliberate parenting, and how do you handle situations where you know that the content can be good and can be bad, and you're trying to use the content to shape the culture of your children.
Yes, that is, it's a very hot topic right now, and it has been for some time, and I actually see it getting even hotter. And the reason for this is that access right now is something that is the norm, and by this I mean that more and more people are getting online. And when I say people, it means adults, but children as well.
Yes.
If you will examine the last 1 year, even children who were not previously online have been forced to go online because of online classroom and online assignments and things like that. So what has happened is that your average child will have access to the internet. That is neither good nor bad. But now where it becomes tricky now is the content. So yes, you're right, I'm a parent, and I'm sure a lot of our audience are also parents. And so the question now becomes, how do you protect your child when they're online or when they're watching TV, knowing with the information that we've just got right now from Tindi and Nina, knowing that a lot of the content that is coming, even the timing that is coming, that it's coming in, is actually deliberate to convey a specific message to the child. So it could be something as harmless as selling a product, like the clips that Nina mentioned, but it will also be something else. And so understanding that, then ask yourself then, how are you protecting the child when they're engaging online, for example? So is it evaluating the type of the programs? Is it limiting the time that they can use the gadgets? Is it vetting some of these cartoons, some of these video games? It's really, it's challenging the parent to be more involved.
Mhm.
Sometimes it looks like a cartoon, so you assume that it's harmless,
Mhm.
but that is not the case.
Mhm.
In many instances, it has been found that there's a lot of subliminal messaging that is put inside some of these cartoons
Mhm.
to do with sexual matters, violence, suicide even, and they've been inserted into cartoons. And a parent, if you're not keen, you might miss it.
Yes.
So it involves being intentional and spending the time to try and vet some of these things.
Mhm.
Right now, we've gone a step further and engaged something that is called virtual or real-time games.
Mhm.
So it means that the child is online playing a video game,
Mhm.
but there's someone else on the other side.
Mhm.
Now you assume it's another child, another 9-year-old, 10-year-old, but sometimes it has been found that there's an adult on the other side across the world, and they use the game to draw the attention of the child. And then after that, there's been even cases of predators engaging with the child, and some of the results have been truly tragic. So it's good for a parent to know these things. They are not easy to talk about, but we cannot ignore them. We cannot ignore them. As parents, as caregivers, anyone who is in charge of someone who is below 18, it is important to know that these things are there. And don't assume that everything is good. There are things out there that are truly harmful. So it's about being intentional. It's about understanding what is going on. And it could even be something like music, books. There's books that are actually in the curriculum and have actually been removed from circulation
Yes.
after complaints by parents, because you find that somewhere in between that story that looked like a harmless story, there was something on page 12 or page 18 that a child should not be reading. So there's a very big push as parents to be more involved, especially in the time that we are living in now. They are very dangerous times. Yes.
That's very important to note, especially on the backdrop that they did a study and reported that there were 11 million social media users in Kenya as of January 2021. Those are many people with gadgets. Some with free time, nothing constructive to do, and some with a very clear agenda. Sometimes it's either intentional or happens just by the flags. And then we have a study of 2018 done in the British Society, and this is what chuckled me, because I was like, this thing is very powerful. It ties social media use to a decrease in productivity. It disrupts schedules, it delays sleep, it's associated with depression, memory loss, poor academic performance. The list is endless. And sometimes, as someone who has responsibility, I feel like it throws you into a schedule even when you're not for. But we have with us, joining us remotely, Joy Njoki. She's young. She's of the age where we would love to ask such provocative questions like, what do you feel like status quo is challenged in people your age? We call them the Gen Z. Yeah, you watch something happening, guys are going somewhere, even it could be 10 over 10, and your parents are like, no. and you have social media, you can come up with any excuse to go somewhere because it's looking like that's the place to go, FOMO, fear of missing out. And now we have joy, or the joy of missing out. So it gives you an option to either be of this party or of the other party. So my question to you, Joy Njoki, is, tell us more about the Gen Z, because you're in it. How does social media affect the kind of choices that people make? Especially because, it could be the music, the language, it could be, there's so much that goes into trying to disrupt and change views of the young people.
Thank you so much, Shitakwa, for that question. And I'm a Gen Z, and yeah, that's why the swag and all that. But anyway, a Gen Z, is a generation is actually the digital generation. So it's very amazing how we're talking about this in this time of, the guys who are being influenced more about it, yeah. And the age group of Gen Z is from age 6 to age 24, which are the years from 1997 to 2012, yeah. So yeah, and there are good things and bad things about this age group in particular, having social media as one of the biggest things, yeah. So the good things are there are opportunities to meet so many people out there. Like, I can be a girl from Kenya and I can talk to someone in America and just we can start a friendship and all that. And it can also help develop gifts that God has given to Gen Z or anyone there. So there is blogging, there is vlogging, there is also speaking engagements where we can do the online events, like we have our KBS Youth, and then it's also a good place where introverts can also express themselves, because in a congregation or in a group setup, sometimes it can be a bit of pressure for them, and this is a space where they can be in the room, take their laptop and just type away, or even vlog and do all that, yeah. And now the cons for this is, now with the first point I had given with the pros, the con is most virtual friends may be scammers or trolls, and we call this catfishing. Catfishing is where someone pretends to be someone they're not. There are a lot of spirits behind this, let's say in the secular world, there are a lot of spirits that are behind the music, and you don't know what really they are putting out. It might be a rap song, and the guy is rapping so fast, but guys, he's rapping so fast you don't understand what he's saying, but he's communicating something. And in the house, when you're washing dishes, hey, you're there as a young person, and you're just, also saying the same thing, which you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And also, listening to music outside the continent is that maybe you're so fixed on a certain can I say culture, or how they sing their songs. Like, we have K-pop and how they dress, how they sing and all that, and as an African girl, I would look at that and want to be like that. Like, I want my hair long and straight, I want to look like them, so I try to look like them, but not actually appreciating who I am and who God has created me to be.
As a member of the Gen Z community, I've definitely seen myself struggle with some of these things and some of my friends. I think the main issue with social media is there are not enough rules and regulations around it and how people use it, and how the people who invest into social media are allowed to feed us content. Because of this, there's so much content that comes at us. And as you probably know, most people who are from the Gen Z community get into social media at around 13. And 13, I feel like, is a very premature age to be exposed to as much as social media exposes us to. So with all these things coming at us, all this knowledge, all these perspectives, all these different standards that are being set, I feel like that's how things like mental health, problems such as anorexia and bodily dysmorphia and things like depression, anxiety, and so many other mental health issues come and plague us as a generation, because on top of the insecurities we have outside of social media, there's all of these things happening on social media, and it's just piling up and piling up and piling up. So I feel like it hits us a bit harder than it would have if we didn't have social media. So I think a good way for us to curb this problem and for us to solve this issue that we have is for us to just set systems and structures in place that kind of monitor and kind of protect younger people on social media and how they use it, and also just training on how to understand social media and how to use it as a tool to benefit you more than as something that you're going to use to align yourself and your life with, which I think is what a lot of us do, unfortunately. So once we have systems and structures in place that allow us view to view things like this and to view social media like this and navigate social media like this, then I think we'll be at a good point in a place where people can use social media and it doesn't have as many negative effects. Because social media is a great tool. It's a way for you to keep in touch with people, a way for you to socialize better and make connections. But unfortunately, more of the negative sides of it are what are affecting us as a generation right now. And we need to figure out a way to stop that and harness the tool we've been given in this digital age.
Well, we have joining us remotely also Ishmael Azeli. He's in the film industry. He has been able to work in different capacities, whether it's directing, whether it's now the one behind the camera, whether it's just looking at how things go. And we know that access has become a big word in this day and age. And Ishmael, I'd love to ask you, in your experience, you've had situations where you kind of pick the kind of work that you want to do, and also the parts where the work comes to you, and we're all about bringing in the buck. So sometimes the work comes to you, sometimes you pick the work that you want. How do you feel like your career so far has helped you to be able to decide on the kind of content that you're creating as a filmmaker?
Haven't really got into a place where I I would say I am able to say completely no to a job because of the way I want to approach things in terms of how I want to or what content I would like to create or not to create because of my moral vibes or all that rounded. But I think I'm in a safe space to say, this content, to make decision on what I also want to shoot. So I might be not shooting a client's job, but I need to shoot something that I feel will bring impact to the society or to the people who are always looking up to, to people like us. I am personally doing my part to try as much as possible to create a content that I feel can create an impact to the society and how I would want the narrative to change. But it's all also upon the people who are watching the content that we creators do create to narrow down to what they really want to take in and what they don't want to take in, because they're the ones who, if you take in a lot of bad vibes, of course content creators will create bad vibes for you. So if you're taking out of positive vibes, of course you get so much positive vibes because you are changing. You as a viewer, you as a consumer, you're changing the way I also see things as a content creator on this other end.
It's interesting that we're trying to loop in all the aspects of media and communications and art and showing you how they shape culture, whether you were so aware of it or whether it was one of the things you're like, now you're having an moment. So it's interesting to talk about the digital shift. Things have changed so much so that there's a generation that's actually taking classes to learn where do I press to start the meeting, where do I press to end the meeting. And we've seen some very interesting content creators coming up with funny jokes of someone was still in a meeting and they stood up and they only had undergarments. And it's real, it's here with us and we cannot run away from it. And the digital shift brings with its various challenges, which are also opportunities, where in the past I would need to go and be casted and go through a rigorous a process to be told you've made it, you can do the Tasker ad. But now I can actually post content on social media or what, and someone would see and be like, I think this person can represent our brand. Mm-hmm. Nina, you're very big about the digital, the agency and looking out for the rights of people. So my question to you is, with this disruption, how do you feel like it's either working for the talent or against the talent, knowing that you're very passionate about people being represented well?
Digital has really disrupted the industry. I think is that it has disrupted all of us. I mean, from the client level to the suppliers, which is us, the agent, from the talent themselves, who are trying now to reach out to the client.
Directly to the client.
Directly to the client. I think for me, it's really about how you package yourself and how you can be innovative. Because what digital has brought in is forcing all of us to be innovative and coming up with innovative ways to meet our plans and our goals. Now you find that yes, it's easy for all of us to have an Instagram account. Yes, it's easy for all of us to do content, but you see, if it's not well planned, with a good strategy, at the end of the day, you may not actually meet your goals at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So many people also, with this digital era, it has gotten them to just to follow trends. You understand?
Yes.
And I feel that people, we should always remain aware that we need to actually embrace knowledge. Just like the client takes time and do research and study your psychology and knows how to reach out to you to meet their numbers, you may also want to do the same thing to meet that client. Even if you want to meet them directly, what are you about? You know, your page cannot be talking about unga, the next morning about cigarette. You know, like, you're all over the place. We don't know where you stand for, what you sell, who are you, you know. So it's really how we embrace knowledge around that digital space, and also being very strategic on what we want to do. Now, we've got in the digital space where a lot more new young talents are coming into the blog. And you're having influencers who are doing it the right way professionally, and they know what they're trying to communicate. I mean, I'll give an example of Grace Musalami, where you will not see her in some really weird communication, because her communication is family content. It's broader. It's embraced by whichever probably religion, because she's very clear on who she's communicating, while you would have others who are completely disruptive, and driving you crazy. You don't even want to go. The moment you go to their page, you're like, what's going on? Oh, please. So I look at people where they started off even well with a specific way of communicating, and then because of this disruption, they have taken a complete turn. Look at someone like Eric Omondi. Eric Omondi back in the days and now is two different person. You even wonder what happened. Is this the same guy? What has he been to? What have he eaten? My friend, what's going on? Now it's all about drama. It's all about you're being chased even by the regulatory institutions and boards, because we're wondering, is this comedy or is it drama? What is it? So sometimes I just sit and I get so intrigued by things like that. Is it that now you are not making your rent? You had to wake up everyone to be like, what's going on, so that you get your followers, then you get your money. So what was the objective? What's the purpose of all that? So it's just how content is being really, as Eric said, we are all content creators. Tomorrow I can put my food on social media and someone would have interest on what I'm sharing. So it's very important also that the audience, the consumer at the end of the day, start embracing knowledge and actually giving themselves enough information and understanding that at the end of the day, everything you see, everything you hear, everything you interact as a content has an agenda. Is that actually that agenda aligning with what you're all about. Because whatever you consume, whether you like it or not, in a very tactical way, it does affect you positively or negatively.
That's true.
So is it really something you want to sort of interact with or not? So you're able to say, okay, this is not for me, so I'm out of it. And you will see even sometimes the things that you actually interact with, even on your page, are what feeds your home page. Those are the feeds that comes in, because that's what you've been interacting with. Those are the pages you've been interacting with. So even the computer has already taken the message. This one, she likes beauty products. All the beauty product content will be on your page. So it's really, there's always an agenda at the end of the day. Yeah.
So I have so many things popping in my mind right now, but before we leave that space, I want to pick your brain.
I was asking myself, should I interrupt? Because like, we can't let this moment pass. But you've gotten into such an important place, because the fact is, if you have a good social media experience, it's because you have chosen the good experience by virtue of choosing who it is you're following, what content it is you like, what content it is you will open. So if you open content that builds you, that encourages you, that makes you happy, if you engage and like posts that is content that makes you happy and it builds you and engages you, then that is your social media experience, you know? So you find that many of us Kenyans, we're out there and we're complaining, social media is so dirty, but really it's what you have liked, it is what you follow, they're the links that you open. And what I've found is that your social media feed really is a reflection of you. So if you are into gossip, your social media feed will indicate that you're into gossip. And if you're into indecent pictures and content, then your social media feed will reflect the same thing. So we have
that's an ouch moment right there.
Wendy Williams, how you doing? Yeah, exactly. So you've got to be very, very conscious of what we expose ourselves to by what we like. You know, I think there's a scripture that says that lift up your eyes so that the King of Glory might come in, because your eyes are a gate. All right. So if you're lifting up your eyes to the sky where the Lord is, then you will get, you'll be infilled with His Spirit. If you're lifting your eyes to pornographic material, then guess what you're letting into your soul? That's what you're getting into your soul. So let's be deliberate. Let's be very conscious. Who are you following on social media? Why are you following who you're following on social media? What do you get out of it? Yeah.
It's actually interesting that employers nowadays are looking for what you've been, looking into, and that could get you hired or fired. Eric, you had a very interesting perspective on that.
Yes, it's exactly what Tindia said. Somebody's social media feed or their engagement is a good and honest reflection of who they are. It's not really what they say. That feed can tell you a lot about someone. And so recruiters realized that a long time ago. And what they do, and this is something you can check with most recruiters, is that they have access to a lot of people's social media page. So as they are considering you for a position, they will not only rely on what you say that you are. They actually go and look at your feed. What have you been posting? What have you been liking?
You want to be our CEO.
Yes, exactly.
And your bikini.
Yes, so you find something harmless that you thought you thought was harmless could actually be a detriment to you in the future. And really it's just that principle of it's an honest reflection of who someone is. And Tindia said it so well. If you don't like what you see there, if you feel that what you're seeing is not a reflection of you, then you need to go and evaluate that feed. Who are you following? And unfollow it. The good thing is that you can always change it. These are algorithms.
Yes.
If you change your patterns, then the feed will also change.
Yeah.
So if you've been getting gossip, like you said, and you start looking at other things, good content, you'll find that automatically it will just come, it will just change. Yes.
Well, there you have it, guys. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
But actually, the youth needs to be told that.
Exactly.
I mean, you find because it's like drugs are very prominent in the young generation, where you have young people between maybe 16 years to about early 20s who would put on their social media page smoking, you know, going in parties, drunk, and things like that they don't know that later on
will come to haunt them.
them. So it's really people needs to be very clear that actually their page tells a lot about who they are.
So you've heard us talk about these things about the media industry, boardrooms, advertising, research, market study, and you're like, hey, these guys are coming with too much English. But just like you, we have also found ourselves in spaces where the content is shaping our society, our family, our ecosystem, our household. And I'd just love everyone to give a take of how personally you found yourself in a place where you've had to either do something, change something, say something, because it would be easy for us to tell them about boardrooms, but their everyday lives. Maybe someone right now is actually in the house with a child who needs a new birthday gift and it's a phone. I'll start with you, Nina. Like, on your everyday life, what's one example that you've had to deal with content trying to shape your society?
Yeah, it's for me it's with the kids actually, and it has happened with my youngest one. It has even happened with my firstborn. It was very interesting. My daughter has been really wanting to get into TikTok. She loves dancing. So she celebrated her 15th birthday recently, and she was gifted a phone by my brother. So super uncle got the phone we've been waiting for. Life is happening now. Mom, we need to have that TikTok account.
Yeah.
So we had lots of conversation because I believe in empowering them. Because at the end of the day, I can't be there all the time. I can't be always there when she's interacting with things that are good and things that are harmful to her. So what I believe in is to tell her, out there it's not all roses. There is A, B, C, D you may interact with, and you need to be in a position where you accept and refuse what is not good for you. So when she got her phone, the first day I allowed her to have a TikTok account, she was reached out by some adult who initially had pretended to be a girl of her age and started to ask her, really funny questions. Questions you wouldn't even be asked to you as an adult. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, and she was all panicked. I mean, she blocked the follower. She called me immediately and was like, Mom, this is just the first day. Oh my God, not even a month. Like, we're already dealing with this, So for me, I think the space, this whole digital era, the technology has really given access to all of us. I'm telling you, even the mamamboga, everybody can access anything. So I think it's at the level of the person, consuming to make the right choices for themselves. So children, like our children, are really victims because they don't have the knowledge. They don't, you can actually manipulate them. And sometimes content is all about manipulation.
Yeah, setting an agenda.
They are setting an agenda with you. So you find, like, my son, there's a time I was just walking in through the corridor and he was playing his game and I could see this banner. And I know what it is. It was an LGBT advert running on screen, and he's just playing a kid game. So I asked my son, what is this thing? Like, but Mom, it's always popping. I don't know what it is. But then in my head, I was like, they are planting a seed with my son. Every day he's seeing this thing, and there's an agenda behind this. What are they trying to achieve with, in a kid content, sharing such kind of message, So I sat him down and we had a conversation. What is the LGBT, blah, 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 blah. I gave him my perspective, what I believe in it or not. I gave him guidance, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be always there and what he's interacting with, And we need to be more intentional as we shape our children, because otherwise they are just going to consume different materials and things and not knowing that it's actually shaping them in a certain way. So that's for me how I look at it. I think content is very powerful.
Yes.
It's really powerful. It has changed not only our culture, even the way we speak, our language, our views, how we even shape our careers, who we are essentially. So it's really important that people understand this thing I'm consuming. It's like when I give you food, when you put it in your mouth, if it's chili, if it's salty, if it's sweet. Yeah, we shouldn't just, like she said, our eyes, our ears, those are gates. What are you allowing in? Yeah.
Eric, on a day-to-day, how have you either been policing or empowering or, in your household, content trying to shape your ecosystem?
Okay, it's funny you should use that word, policing, because I think I'm called the gadget police in my house. And I'd like to build on something I'd said earlier and what Nina has just shared. It's very important. So I know in our audience we have people with various ages of children. So we have the very young all the way into adult children, okay? And one thing we need to understand as parents is that the approach is different in each of these age groups, for example. So there's an age where you as a parent have to step in and protect the child, okay? You're dealing with a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. You cannot start explaining to them some complex ideas about suicide and things like that. So there's a level where you will have to step in and block or take the gadget, okay? And then as you interact with the child, you realize that taking the gadget is not enough. Or switching off the TV is not enough. Then you need to talk to them, which is what Nina is saying. You need to explain why is it that that they shouldn't watch that, or they shouldn't interact with such and such a thing. Because Nina is very right. You will not be there every day to police that gadget, to police that laptop or whatever it is. Remember that this child is interacting with other children in school. You don't know what they're doing. You're not there. Okay? So that's where now it comes to, where do you talk to the children about these things that are popping up in their media? As a media practitioner, there's something that I'd like to bring to attention of a parent, which a lot of people forget. The old media had a dead end. You read a book, that is the book. But digital media is a portal because there's links. So what appears to be very harmless, but is leading you to click something, you don't know where that link will take you. Okay, so that becomes even 10 times more dangerous than a book, for example. So online books have links in PDFs. Video games have links. YouTube, all these things. Okay, so it's important to talk to the children about, and the young people generally, about the dangers of these things, because stopping it is not enough. You have to explain to them what is the difference between this and this. And that is where we really need to call on the wisdom of God, really, to just come and help us with some of these things, because we are also learning. These things, we don't have the answers, but the more we interact and the more we share in platforms such as this, then we're empowered and we're given solutions to some of these things too. Okay, so my children are a bit younger, and I'll just give an example of something that actually happened. They're given homework books to read, and there's some books that were coming, and as you read with the child, there's things that we saw that were truly harmful, and some of them were touching witchcraft. Some things are suicide, and you can tell that it is hidden inside the story. it has nothing to do with what is on the cover. And that is already a red flag. Okay? Because if the book was about witchcraft, then it should have had a witch on the cover. Yes, you see. So as a parent, this is something that actually happened, and we actually raised it with the school. And it's a wonderful school, and they were able to actually agree that this is not, shouldn't have been there, and they recalled the book, and they were able to actually escalate it even to the ministry. And it has also happened, I'm sure if you look at, there's the many cases of books actually being recalled, books that have been vetted and are already in the curriculum, but because of at least capturing it, then as a parent you find that you have the power to actually raise a complaint, raise it with the school, and you find that it's pulled out. And at the same time also explain to the child why is it that that book had to be returned. Very important. We are in an age of empowerment. The more we empower, the better it will be. The days of just blocking and being the what is it called, the sieve in the home. It will not work in the time that
My
we're
mom's
going
favorite
into.
answer is because I said so.
Because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work now.
That age is
Don't
gone.
ask me why.
Yes, that age has gone. The children of today are a different breed, and that actually is the thing that will make them now even go and do it. The one that you're refusing is the one that will
propel them to actually want to do it.
Yes. So it's even better to just
Curiosity.
talk to them. The curiosity is actually a lot of danger there. Yes.
It's funny that you say that. I used to tell my mom, curiosity killed the cat, and she was like, it's good you're not a cat.
You would have been long gone.
Long gone, because you keep being curious about everything. Tindi, your day-to-day life, interacting with, trying to take this content and help it to shape your ecosystem.
So just like Nina and Eric have demonstrated, as a parent, really you are the primary filter through which your child learns to interact with the world, you know, and with God's guidance and help, it's up to you to decide, okay, so I can control the environment in the home, but I cannot control the school environment. I cannot control the playground environment. I cannot control when they go to have sleepovers with their cousins and their grandparents. So what environment are you setting in the home that allows your child the safety net to know that they can speak openly with you as a parent, and also the environment for them to know when things are good and when things are bad. So case in point, for me, quite recently, I realized that my children, they're young boys, 7 and 9, they're really into this racing video games. And the music there is hard rock. It's the harsh guitars and the hard drumming, and they really loved the music. So they'd actually look for that music on YouTube, you know, and just inundate themselves because they love the music. So as a parent, my first reaction was, don't listen to that music. But I thought, I was like, wait, you know, I was there once in my life, you know, and when you're told don't, that is when you go do. So I was like, all right.
That's the one I'm looking for now.
You know, and you know, these are my children. They have my genetics. So if I was naughty, then I understand their naughtiness. I was like, hey, this one is not for screaming and saying no more, no more, no more. So I was like, okay, what do we do? Then I was like, aha, there's Christian rock. So what did we do? We took their phone and their gadgets and downloaded all the Christian rock we could get into. And I decided, guys, you have new music on your gadgets and on your computer and your phone. And they're so excited, and they're playing all the Christian rock bands and getting excited with the guitars and the drums, and it's rich, wholesome music that builds. And my prayer with that is, number one, they feel safe to show off what they're excited about with me, you know. And then number two, if they're inundated with wholesome, beautiful music, then when they go out there and they hear music that doesn't feel right, then they're aware they don't have to know whether it's good or bad, but the fact that they feel, this does not feel right, would be a conversation point that would allow me to get in and now have that conversation. So I think as parents, there's a place for blocking and refusing for your children to get exposed, but there's also a place for being smart and creating alternatives that are better than what is there, and then create a situation where the child comes to you seeking information and understanding, and then now you can teach them how to think about a situation, how to process it, certain data, because it's out there and they will meet it, you know. But as Nina said, are they empowered to meet it in a wholesome manner? So I think empowerment is the generation that we're raising now. It is really about empowerment rather than censorship. So for me, in my house, the strategy is alternatives, conversations.
And that is so true. Actually, I have a very similar experience with my kids as well, only that it's hip hop.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very easy to dismiss and say all hip hop is bad. It's violent, and but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Most of the genres of music that you consider bad, there's actually a wholesome version of it. So good content is not necessarily boring. So there's good hip hop, there's good electronic music, there is Christian rock music, Christian techno music, and it's actually spirit led. You can feel it's not just music, but the way it is produced, the way that it is published, it's actually wonderful. So all of these things, because there's this element of cool.
Yes.
So if you're listening to Munishi and the child is not feeling Munishi, you like Munishi, that's fine. But your teenager is not going to enjoy that music because all their age mates are listening to hip hop and rock music. So how do you then deal with that? Expose them to the right music. And it's there. I guarantee you, go out there, just take time. Even yourself, there's Christian workout music. How many people know that? As you're doing your Zumba and your workout, you don't have to listen to any other content.
Very true.
Be selective. All that content is there. And right now it's the most, we are in the time where all of this is more available than ever before. Ever before. And it's there, and a lot of it is even free. You don't even need to pay for it.
And it's actually our responsibility. I always say, if I shape my child, and you shape yours, then most of our children will look at good content, clean content, share same ideas, same values, same views, you know. So even as I shape my own child, I'm helping my neighbor.
That's true.
So it's not just about my own child, because you know, back in the days, if your mom sees you play with this child and this child is a naughty one, the next thing, I do not want to see you with that child ever again. But if we all sort of, you know, work together and shaping a new, you know, breed of society, that, you know, people who have the same values, wants to digest the right content, then somehow we are going to influence also the game. Because now the client as well will know, if I want to communicate to this audience, it has to be in line with their values. It has to be in line with how they look at things.
That's true.
And then I can still meet my target, but not just by disrupting and having only my own agenda.
Very true.
So we have both sides that are considered here.
Shitakwa, if I may, as Nina is speaking, what was coming to my mind is this conversation about agenda setting and communication and culture. You know, culture is dynamic by nature. With every generation, language is changing. With every generation, content and the way we express ourselves is changing. And as parents, as consumers, as audiences, we really do have a choice to either be passive or active. You know, and what does that mean? There are those who will say, oh, that's the way things are, so we also fall in line, you know, and there are those who will say, aha, so what is happening here, and where do I want to be, and what can I do to make it move in the way that makes sense to me? So I think what we are saying, even as we're talking about how we are parenting in this area of digital media and agenda setting, is we have the choice to stand in our children's lives and define you know, the culture that they're taking up into the next generation.
Exactly.
Okay, as we also stand up and define what culture we are creating as a legacy, so that when our children remember us, they know, you know, we were taught this way, we saw our parents doing this, we saw that they were empowered to choose how they want to be, and they have empowered us to be empowered in our generation to be active players in setting the agenda in a way that builds, rather than being passive and just taking whatever is thrown at you. So it's absolutely exciting.
It is. And I know, like, someone would be seated there saying, do you think there is a higher demand for good quality of local and Pan-African content told by Africans? And we've just displayed to you that, yes, there is a gap. There is content. Consumers are there. You just need to plug into this and this plug into that. Yeah. If they can't eat the tomatoes, blend them in the soup. There's always a way out. There's always a way. If they don't want the cauliflower, make cauliflower.
We don't have to be victims, huh?
You don't have to
be
victims.
You have to be smart.
You have to be smart. You have to always kind of come up with a way to get this done. And I think as we come to closing, I just want to ask us, each of us, to give a contribution. What do you see as the future in the industry you represent? I think maybe we'd start with Ishmael. Ishmael, the film industry, what do you see as the future?
The future is really bright. I am actually, I was talking to someone, and, you know, it feels like at some point, you know, the traditional way of doing things, you used to pitch, you write a whole script, you get a brief, you write a proposal, you write a storyboard, you write how you're gonna shoot it, and then pitch and convince people through papers. But now we slowly kind of going to the energy of, like, you know, we have to cut it. It's like shoot it and then pitch it, not put it on paper and then pitch it. Like, you have to shoot it with your own money, pitch it, and then get the job done. So that's the direction of it, which is a good thing. And I feel it should be more visually approached, or you know, audio approach, whatever. So it's you know, if you are writing, it's writing approach. You have to write, you pitch it according to writing. But I pretty much feel like, you know, the future is there. We are seeing more and more. We are seeing now more content creators, because there's so many platforms. There's no excuse whatsoever to say, oh, I don't have a good camera, I don't have a good mic to record my voiceover or my audio book or whatever. There's no excuse to that. Even the phones now become even better channels of shooting and communication than anything. As long as you're out there putting your work out there, someone will get to see it, and you gotta get you gotta get something going on. So I feel like, you know, there's more and more opportunities coming up, and more platforms that will enable content creators to put their skills out there as much often as they like, and gain a living out of that as well. So I think, yeah, it's all upon us to do some magic on content creation.
The content we put out there needs to be things that make people think, like genuinely think. Content that educates people on things they'd never have known about if it wasn't for our creations, and even things they would have known about. It needs to be content that makes people, that it drives people into action, you know, drives people into change and saying, yeah, I don't like this, so I'm gonna do something about it.
Mutindi, the future, podcasts, YouTube lives, Instagram lives, anything, you name it, is content. It's shaping society, and you're like so active with it. Even the way we write emails has changed. Even the way we do conferences has changed. Zoom is now in the mix. What do you see as the future?
You know, for a long time, and even now, we hear a lot of people. I have a heart for radio and audio and podcasting. Like, that's a place that I just love. So I'll speak into that. Many people say that radio is old-fashioned and the time for radio in Africa is gone. And I think it's actually the other way around. I'll tell you why. Because in every space, people are competing for your eyes. You know, YouTube you have to be there. Instagram, your eyes are there. Your eyes get tired.
That's true.
And then the storytelling capacity that radio carries and podcasting carries is something that never dies. Storytelling is as old as humanity itself. The only thing that is going to change is the medium through how we tell our stories. And an important part of storytelling is the imagination. And what radio and podcasting give us is a blank slate. So that the storyteller will tell the story and the listener will paint on their canvas. And it's beautiful because with audio, podcast, radio, you can be very engaged in the content while you're driving, while you're cooking, while you're lying in bed. You
That's
know,
true.
it's a restful way to add knowledge. It's a restful way to pass on knowledge. So I think the future has only just begun. And it's as bright as we want to make it. It goes as far as we want to take it. And the only limitation is what we speak into it. And for me, what I'm speaking into radio and podcasting in Africa is that the African story is going to be lifted to the world, whether the world wants it or not, because we know how to tell our stories. We have the tools to tell our stories. And the beauty thing with the radio is that there's no corner in Africa you will go to and not
That there's no
find
radio.
a radio.
True.
Insert
Nowhere.
relation. Nowhere. And as long as there's a radio, there's a story being told. Very powerful. Eric, the future. What do you see?
The future is incredibly bright. It, in the past year and a half, it has reached a level which we anticipated it will take another 10 years to take. And what does that mean for my industry, which is the visual arts? The digital shift is the basis, is the equalizer for us. And that makes it extremely exciting. Because what happened is that we have now access to the whole world. We've moved from having a local agency or a local gallery, a local exhibition to a global exhibition.
True.
So we have the whole world as our audience. And that can be scary, but it's also very exciting. Right now, I can buy art or sell art to anyone in the world. People, you don't have to just be limited to where you are in the world. You can go online and access anything that you want. A lot of the galleries that in London and New York, for the first time in history, opened their gates virtually in the last year. And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to see some of these classics. You can now go online and enjoy a virtual exhibition. And so the future for me is amazing. And you see, once we've crossed, where we have crossed now, we can't go back.
That's true.
The world is now open. The world is at our beck and call. And it's important on two aspects. From the content creation and content consumption as well. So as an artist, I can say that, and I'm talking to all other artists of every genre, you can sell and you can market your work anywhere. But as a consumer, you can also consume content from anywhere in the world. Okay, and that is opens all kinds of doors for us. Right now, we are actually having a virtual exhibition as the part of the Unstuck conference, actually. And that would have, in the past, that would have involved an enormous amount of preparation for a physical exhibition. But right now, it's online. And anybody can come and look at the work that is there and engage with it and engage with the artists. And that is very exciting. It's only the beginning. And I really encourage anyone who even has a story in them, who wants to publish a book, who wants to write poetry, go ahead. This is the time. There's no other time. It is this, the one you've been waiting for. It's now. So that's why I'm so excited about this. Yes.
Miss Nina Bola, the future, film, modeling, advertising. What do you see? What's the future like?
The future is very exciting. It's very bright, actually. You know, what digital and technology has done, it has really given us access. And it has actually brought some dynamics, because now anybody can create content, and what it's doing is that even clients, even people who have products, are getting to change the way they communicate, because they are realizing that they used to pay a huge amount to advertisers to create a certain communication, while you can see a young person from their bedroom with their phone meeting the same numbers through their phone and just creating, content. We are seeing a lot of these young people, especially influencers, coming up with adverts just with their phones and a ring light, or a selfie, and something is trending. So I think the future is really dynamic. People are going to be more creative, more innovative. Content is going to just take some really interesting, exciting, dynamic approach to it. We are able to access a lot of talents. Back in the days, you may have a great idea, but you can't even access the key players to help you put your content out there. But now it's so easy. I can boost my own content. I can create my own content. It's getting more and more affordable, more and more compact. So I think we get more value from what's being created, rather than the money we invest in to actually create that content. Yes. So the future is bright. The future is bright, exciting. We're discovering young people who are doing some genius things at a very young age, feeding even their parents and paying rent and, out of creating content. So yeah, very, very exciting.
Looking towards the future and this generation, what I love about it is how we are connected and we have access to such a world of information where we can learn how to do anything in like 30 days. That's crazy. And sometime back it wasn't that easy, but now it's easy for you as a Gen Z to do that. And I mean, now you can now share the music that you have out there. Speak to someone. If God has been telling you need to start posting inspirational videos, you never know who it will touch on the other side of the world. So thank you. Yes, and I'm out.
Well, there you have it, people. We have informed you, we have provoked you, we have schooled y'all. We've done the most that we could. And that's what we talk about when we say content really does shape society. So we have charged you, you have the tools in your hands, and get out there, engage. I would challenge all of you before you click off to engage with Just Angie platform. We have PLF Online. We have all these resources. We're just not talking about the things that are far-fetched. You can actually click and be able to entertain yourself with really good content that is wholesome, content that changes your life. I would say that because it changed mine, and I'm sure it changed all of us. Yeah, so we are also you'll see all the social media handles that you can follow on the screen. Feel free, if you have any questions, throw them at us. We're here, we're ready to answer. Thank you so much for engaging with us.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have done our best to help you break down how the role of content in shaping society. And for all of you who have questions about how to plug in, please find the information in the chat box. Just Angie platform has so many videos. If you start watching them today, it'll take you a few months to finish. Like, the content is amazing. I kid you not, there's something that will answer something about your life that you're currently asking about. I have no doubt in me that there's a video for every one of us in that platform. We have PLF Online. If you would like to start a journey where you want to provoke yourself, there's PLF Online, which is something that all of us on that panel have gone through, and we all testify that it has changed our lives. We have the Unstuck conference coming up. Please don't be shy. If you feel like you're at that point where you want some kind of unstucking to happen for you, that is your portion. Like, you need to click the link and sign up right away. We have the virtual exhibition. If you'd like to buy some paintings, feel free to engage with us. Our social media handles will be on the chat box. I haven't seen a question in the chat. So I'm imagining that we have kind of answered as we went along. So I'll get right into the meat, or rather the tail end of this meat, which is to invite our vision bearer, Afeft Angie. We love you. Standing ovation, thanks. Please welcome Afeft Angie. We are so glad that you are able to find time in your busy schedule and be here with us. Oh, yeah.
What? Hey, that is the celebration. I was like, I need to get my tambourine, because how well presented was that? I have tears in my eyes. There's no time to cry because I need now to bring to a close and pray. But I am so blessed by this. Can I call it ministration? Gosh, I'm going to cry. I'm so blessed by this ministration. Well done, Sector Ekklesia of Media, Arts and Entertainment. You have done the most amazing job. I've learned a lot. And then I was wondering, I don't know whether it's politically correct, but I don't know. I don't know when I started caring about being politically correct, but maybe because it's your webinar, so I better be politically correct. But I don't know whether it was politically correct to say, hey, how glad am I that my baby is 26? Hey, hallelujah. I was like, hallelujah, Jesus, thank you. Because I don't think I would have survived this age. Mimi Singeweza. I saw people commenting there. I think Eric, at least Eric is a bit harder. Tindi is a diplomat. Me, there was no diplomacy in parenting. It's my way or the highway, and we move on. But anyway, but things are different and they've changed. So I have so much to say. I mean, I've chatted so much in the chat. And then, sometimes I just want to be myself. Then I was like, hey, Pastor, maybe you've commented too much in the chat. But my story is in the chat. Go to the chat, you will find all my stories. I understood things that I've always known, but you've helped me put into words. Like one of the comments I made is, have you ever passed through like an Afro cinema or a telenovela, and you're there, you're criticizing, but you're still there. Yeah, you're still giving them eyeballs. You haven't moved, you're still there. 5 hours later, you're still there. So those are the channels that, let me tell you, I cannot even dare to stop, because it just grabs your attention. The other powerful thing about today is understanding what is shaping us as a society. Sometimes we sit and we just lift up our hands and wonder what happened to us. But yeah, it's the media that shapes us. It's what we're engaging in, what we're consuming. That's what's shaping our society, So absolutely amazing. Brought the point home as well. But even as you engaged, and you'll see these all in my comments as well, is that we also have to educate the consumer. Because it's the consumer, like I said, like Nina was commenting about Just Angie. And yes, Just Angie is there. It has amazing content by God's grace, and it will always be there. That's the goodness with this footprint, this digital footprint, is that it will always be there. Even when I'm long gone, it will be there. But the thing is, if I put some content that is educational, like Aisha said, that is informative, and I put something else that I don't know what to call the opposite of non-educative, maybe trashy, just something that's not going to change your life or bless you. People will choose the trashy for some reason, but I love also the conversation around, if I look at your feed, it tells me who you are, and that confirms something that I do. Sometimes we get a lot of requests on Facebook, but I'll first click the person. So some are pending, they'll stay there because I'm not in a hurry. I must go into your content, look at your content, look at your feed, and ask myself, is this a person I want to be associated with? Is this a person that I want to be on my feed? So that will determine my decisions. So you've brought a lot of conversations, you've brought a lot of information. I think as parents also, we need coaching as well, so I put there Dr. Carol Chakwe. I think she coaches parents because, hey, I almost need a degree. What kind of parenting is this? I need a degree to parent. This is crazy. But I need to be almost, the word is woke as well. Some of the things Eric said, I was like, hey, what? Actually, there's a link to a link to a link in a video game to another link. I was like, that's it. I'm lost. People are sitting here. I'm very happy that they're quiet. Kumbe, where they have entered. Hey, it's only Jesus. I felt like it's going down a rabbit hole, So parents have to be so alert, so on top of things, not just sitting there being passive. We have to be very deliberate about what the children are creating. I loved the conversation about creating, like, I change, you change, we create a family, we create a community, then we pass it down generationally. I've been reading a lot about trauma, and they said that trauma is passed on generationally. But I was so happy the other day to say, I think it's Ryan Lestrange, who said, but also healing can be passed on generationally. I was like, Allah, why are we only thinking about trauma? Healing can also be passed on generationally. If we're all consuming good content, if we all know that's not what we should consume, we can also pass it along generationally and create communities. But I think everybody should have a call to action and a takeout from this webinar. Mine is first to pray, because you see, sometimes I sit and I stare outside my window and I think, how can the world have beaten us like this? And it's not the world, the enemy. The enemy cannot beat us like this. There's no way. We have to get up. So my first prayer point is for us to pray for the ideas, the resources to execute the ideas. And to every plan of the enemy, God has 10,000 trillion counter plans. So we need each of us to grab one. We need to get one counter plan and do what we need to do. Because I think sometimes what stops us as Christians as well is the magnitude. You're like, how am I going to change the whole world? Well, God is asking you to change your world. Where do you have influence over? If it's your family, your community, your friends, your place of work, your place of doing business, that's the place where he's asking you to have influence. He's not asking you to have influence in the whole world. And then sort of like Nehemiah, as we all build, we will build. Somebody, I think Tindy said that today. If we're all changing, then everybody's going to change. Everybody's going to make a change and we're going to be different, So that's the first thing, that we must pull out, because the Bible says thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is written in heaven. These counter strategies that are in heaven, we need to pull each and every one of, somebody needs to get one, and start where you are. I love scope of influence. It could be just with your family. It could be just with your siblings. It could be just with your friends. Start where you are, but it's like, I'm hearing the word counterintelligence, like military and counterintelligence, there's counterintelligence. These guys are not cleverer than us. We refuse. I refuse. They are not. They are not bigger than my God. But they've tried. They've tried. When I've listened to all the stories, I'm like, A for effort. Hey, you can go into all this deliberation, like even that small video I was looking there, like now on Facebook. You're just trying to get people. You're trying to control people. As we're all here sitting thinking, oh, I get to connect with my friends. Hallelujah. Guys, have an agenda. An agenda. And I was taught, maybe I'm talking too much, I need to pray. In Bible school, I was taught, if somebody creates an outfit, and let's say the outfit is short and see-through, it is not the wearer that determines the agenda of the outfit. It is the designer that determines the agenda for the outfit. So we can all say here, there are social media, I don't want to mention them, I don't want them to sue me, but I think I'm too small for them to sue me. But my God shall defend me. But hey, so it's not just about us consuming that content. The one who set it, what was the agenda? And that has also come out very strongly today. Like, what is the agenda? I have to go back and watch those videos again. What was the agenda in setting this, and look for such content, look for the reason behind, and Simon Sinek told us, start with the why. Why is very important. The other one, which might not be politically correct, is Bob Marley. Hey, hallelujah. Hey, why have we allowed them to kill our prophets? What? I need that song. Somebody send me that song. I need to listen again, because for real, who told, who said they could kill our prophets? How long are we going to stand by as they kill our prophets? Hey, me, I'm personally challenged. I am awake and alive, and ready to continue producing, and ready to pray for Christians to get it's almost like a drill and the instructions and execute, because we have to counter every move they make. We must counter it, and we must get ideas, we must get resources. So many things are making sense. Even maybe that's why Christians don't have resources. We start praying for them, because we need to be able to execute at their level, because they get together in their little huddles, in their little community, their little cliques, and then create something to influence the whole world. But I don't know, I was also thinking that might also be politically correct, but the fact that they dare, and we have a God who is so powerful, and we don't dare. And even if we don't bring God into it as Africans, why can't we dare? It's like we're the richest continent with the most resources, but we allow others to exploit us. We can't. We have to dare. So we must dare, we must attempt, we must fail, but we must make it. And if they gather in their little huddles, which are not of God, and create things that impact the entire world, then we have to gather, speak to our God, get him to download to us solutions, and then we execute these solutions that come against them. We can never. And then somebody else brought a comment about the rainbow, which I have always refused. Let me tell you, the rainbow belongs to us. You cannot steal something from me. Let's say you steal this from me, then that it becomes yours. It's not yours. They are mine. So the rainbow is ours. First mention, law of first mention was mentioned in the Bible as a covenant by God. So rainbow belongs to us. There's no other story. Just because you steal something doesn't make it yours. So I have refused all those stories, but I am encouraged. I'm encouraged to pray and intercede. The world needs prayers. Parenting needs special prayers, new prayers for parents, because you are parenting in a very crazy world. And I think, Eric, there's once you said, it's like we have limitations on everything. I remember having a conversation with you once, and you were saying like you can't drink until, let's say, like you're 18, or even we have, I think these days, even in my part of the world, we have supermarkets where the alcohol is placed in a place where you have to produce your ID to access it. Yes, so you can't access alcohol, you can't access cigarettes, you probably can't drive until a certain age. But there's no age limit to this crazy internet. We've just, it's like giving them, we've opened all the cabinets, we've said, come and drink everything and eat everything and consume and be gone, we're protecting our kids, and we understand we need to protect them from certain things, but we haven't put the same kind of protectors on content and what they are viewing. And I think that's also, I guess it's also a reflection on us, and we need to change that. If we have guidelines for everything else, then we need to have guidelines on what our children are consuming, because it shapes who they become. And somebody else said in your panel that was very powerful, that one engagement can change everything. It can lead us into a downward spiral. It can be one engagement that causes a positive lifestyle and change, but one event can bring us down, and it's not, that's such a huge risk to take in terms of our children. I think it was Eric who said, yeah, you don't, how do you start now explaining suicide? Let's not explain, come first here, sit here. Before I start having to explain to you, I was watching even Dr. Phil, I think yesterday, and he had two ladies, it was very sad, who have lost their children to suicide, and they were trying to educate other people on what the signs are to watch out for. And it was very sad. It's very sad to imagine that life has been taken and gone because of social media and content. That is too tragic. So I have enjoyed myself. Tindy, you better convert this quickly, because I need to watch this again. And I was here from the beginning. Then I said, let me try your tactics. Let me go and make tea. I could not move. I was here sitting, typing, writing everything, saying, what is this? But I'm so happy. For me also, and I say that with humility, this is such a legacy for me, This is a legacy. This by the grace of God shows that I have been able to execute my purpose, and its purpose and leadership by raising leaders and who have something to say. And I'm so grateful for, like my bishop, when he said, you're not the most clever person in the room. I'm so grateful because you see, if I tried to have all the webinars by myself, who would have had all this content now? You have brought out something else. You're smart, you're intelligent, you have perspective, you have experience, you have exposure, and you've brought that to the table, and you've given other people an opportunity to look in, to think, to visualize, to take action. You've probably even saved lives here. You've saved lives, you've saved families, you've answered questions for people who are just wondering, what do I do? This problem is like maybe my kids and the social media content, you've given them solutions. And this for me is an answer, so I'm not the only one always speaking. It's about sharing my platform. I remember when I sent out, I think it was WhatsApp messages, that everyone is going to do a webinar. People almost wanted, sometimes they want to kill me, but they can't say they want to kill me. But, me, I just leave it there. Let me just put this here and see what happens. But look at what has happened. Yay! I'm so excited by what has happened. I'm so amazed. And with me, everything is about one step leading to another step. And that's why I'm also excited about Unstuck, just before I pray, because it's moving from potential to performance. We each have the potential within us. These panelists, nobody would have agreed they have the potential. They have the potential. Look at the potential that has come out. And now we pray it takes everything and everyone to another level. But that's what we do. And you see, as human beings, if we don't exercise that potential, if we don't take that first step, then we're going to not realize our potential. And then we're not going to be able to counter. You see, like media, arts, and entertainment, it's a big one. We need to counter the enemy because God has put ideas in us that we're not taking this potential that's here into performance. And this performance impacts everyone. So I'm very excited. Well done. You have done exceedingly abundantly above all that I could have asked for, imagined. You have done so well. I don't even know. Oh my goodness. Well done. And as usual, as a good leader, this is just the beginning. You can see, well done, then you feel you have reached. Hey, please. Moving and as you rest, rejoice. We are happy for a few minutes. We are shouting next action, next step. Where are we going? What are we doing? It never stops because you're a leader and you're influencing. So well done for influencing us. Well done for engaging us. Well done for leaving us with questions and giving us some answers. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, I just want to bless you. I want to thank you because you know that media, art, and entertainment, Father, is the sphere of influence that needs you. It needs you so badly, Father. But I have a feeling that because I keep hearing it again, this counterintelligence that you have already deposited in the hearts of men and women, young and old, the solutions that they need to execute and engage in media to be able to counter the enemy. The enemy has never been stronger than us, will never be stronger than us. The word of God says that you have overcome the world. And I just want to pray for faith, I want to pray for faith to execute, faith to action, faith to take what is in our minds, what is in our potential, visualize it and execute it with excellence, accuracy, precision, and in divine order. I sense in my spirit that you would jumpstart us, that you would light a fire under us, that you would start us off, that you would nudge us to take steps towards executing the strategies that will counter the enemy, Lord. I pray for parenting. I pray for deliberate, intentional parenting, Lord. I pray for us to have time for our children and to see what they're engaging in and to create a generation and a community and nations that are full of people who have integrity, who are ethical in their values, in their engagement, in the content that they're creating, and in their consumption, Father, of the content that they are consuming. Father, Lord, I just pray. I pray for grace. I pray that everywhere this webinar goes, that it has impact, it has influence, it raises questions, it creates hubs, it creates solutions, and the glory of the Lord is seen. And we thank you so much, Lord. How amazing is this? And even to the sector Ekklesia of media, arts, and entertainment under Kingdom Business Solutions, Father, the next level. Take them to the next level. And there's a prayer I've been making and feeling even for the Unstuck conference that's coming up on the 7th of August. That this next level of moving from potential to performance is moving 3 to 4 levels. So my prayer is everyone who is under the sound of my voice, who will engage with this even later, that as they execute, the word of God says in Isaiah 119, that if we're obedient and willing, we shall be fruitful. So I pray there is a lot of obedience that takes place as people engage with this webinar. There's a lot of obedience that they engage in that produces fruitfulness, that produces multiplication, that brings about impact, and that brings about change and transformation, that brings about ethics and value in content creation and in content consumption. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.